This is Media Philosophy, exploring the deeper side of Courage the Cowardly Dog, one of the greatest kid shows of all time. And I'm being serious, I'm not over-exaggerating when it comes to Courage the Cowardly Dog, because what makes it so unique compared to every other kid show is that Courage doesn't just focus on the humor, which is an issue that so many kid shows outside of animes do, is they think that kids just want to joke and laugh all the time, which is true, but Courage the Cowardly Dog has a special place in so many hearts because it was trying to do something a little bit deeper. Sure, it also scarred some kids for life, but there's always going to be some collateral damage when trying to do something a little fun and different. And that's what Courage the Cowardly Dog does in spades. I can't really think of another non-anime kid show that really went in this sort of direction, because Courage does look to tackle some, more complex issues, or at least tell some more complex stories. And even if not every episode is outright scary, I would say as the series went on, the amount of scary imagery decreased, probably because kids' parents complained to Cartoon Network that freaking scene in the episode where Courage is in New York with that, what is his name, that roach, but that girl playing the violin who then turns around and has that scary face. Until I was maybe even like 14, 15, I could not watch that scene. I remember the moment the girl started playing her violin, I would just hide my head in the pillows. And from reading online, there are so many other moments within Courage the Cowardly Dog that happened to other people. And there are just, but that's what makes it so special, is that these sort of moments are tattooed in our brain. And it is fun to be scared. It is a fun and a hard thing to pull off with kids' media. Because I would say there's nothing in Courage that is outright, dangerous for kids. I mean, sure, there are some creepy images like Eustace walking headless at the end of that one chicken episode. That happened, right? And then so many other just scary motifs. But I would say hands down, it's obviously the girl with Squee. I think his name was Squee, maybe the cockroach. So while Courage may have scarred some kids, he also tells some amazing stories and some really deep stories. Again, I watched a lot of kid shows growing up, and Courage is one of those ones that just keeps standing out from its music, from its art, and I just loved all the creepy little imageries and all the creepy little characters. So many characters were just sad and weird. Like there was that one scarecrow that couldn't scare anybody. I remember this one episode with like whales in space, or sorry, they were squid space cephalopods or whatever, and Courage had to somehow bring the babies back home. I mean, I can sit here and just gush over all the heartfelt moments within Courage the Cowardly Dog, or we can just sum up and just say Courage has a lot of feels, and a wide variety of feels. Again, there is some humor in it. I would say that if I had to label it something, I guess I would label it as a comedy, because that's probably the one constant through all the episodes. While some episodes are really scary and some episodes are kind of sad, I would say most episodes are attempts at humor. There's attempts at humor in every single episode. But what Courage does that so many kid shows fail to do, and that is take the kids seriously and sort of treat them like they are people instead of just cramming the stupidest stuff down their throats. And so many kid shows are guilty of just adhering to the most common denominator. And yeah, while it's going to pay off because so many kids do just like the stupid brain rot, if you take a chance and can pull off some of these stories, then you're going to have a following for a lifetime. Again, out of the hundreds of thousands of cartoons that have existed since the 70s or whatever. How many have been lost to time? But there are so many but there are a few that stand out, and one of them is Courage. And I would say a lot of shows that also engage in these higher level stories, these a focus beyond humor, do survive as well. I would say Adventure Time might be one of the biggest cultural cartoons ever. I would give it sort of in that same realm as Courage, where there's not always a focus on humor, as well as something like Steven Universe. These TV shows offer something to kids that other shows don't, and that's why they keep flocking to them and are celebrated years down the line. Again, while I've seen so many cartoons, I can't think of any except Courage the Cowardly Dog that has literally terrified me. And there's been episodes besides the New York Cockroach episodes that do make me unsettled and things like that, but they're always like a really fun, unsettled feeling. Like, you consent to going into a haunted mansion, and you go in knowing you're going to get spooked and frightened a little bit. And that was Courage the Cowardly Dog. Oh man, I'm going back to the flashbacks, everything. Like the whole King Ramses episode, how they can mix so much weird, scary stuff with humor, though, must have been such a challenge. It's kind of like what the Haunted Mansion tries to do in Disney Park and whatnot. And again, when you can successfully somehow find that balance in the individual stories of heavy to light, then you do have an unbelievable experience. If you've seen Courage the Cowardly Dog, you know what I'm talking about. I mean, just think back to some of your favorite moments. I'm just getting goosebumps. I got goosebumps as a kid watching some of those. And I think what really stands out from Courage for me would also be the music aspect. Not just the dun 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 dun, those fun little bongo drums, but I would say as the series went on, they just really knew how to use the music to really enhance the mood. And it was probably a lot more juvenile than I'm remembering, but when it's the first time doing it, it seems a lot more special. But I just remember, there's some just really beautiful piano-esque scores, like when Courage is playing with that weird hunchback character doing flips and whatnot in the attic. Man, whenever there was a rerun of Courage, it's like I couldn't ever be disappointed. There would be some shows where it's a gamble of whether the episode's going to be good or not, but I would say just Courage the Cowardly Dog, every single episode was just fire, because each episode was just so unique from the last. Every villain-esque character in each episode just brought so much. And that is what is so cool thinking back about it, especially like from the art-wise, is just how it feels like a lot of episodes did have such a distinct style. I'm thinking about that one episode where that super weird guy who loves pollution like lands on Nowhere Farms, and Eustace and Muriel adopt his ways and just like swim in garbage and whatnot. And there's just, as I keep talking, just more just keep flooding back, because again, they're just such powerful images of just everything being all sludge and garbage. I think that guy did like get upset because they gave him like clean water. He's like, no, I want to drink sludge. And when you see some creepy potato sack wearing whatever guy drink some dark sludgy things, again, it just really leaves an impression on the young viewer. And I wonder if they had to like hire any psychologists or anything to really know how to toe the line, or who even the main, I should really read up on who the main creative behind Courage the Cowardly Dog is and see what their past was, because I feel like you don't just make Courage the Cowardly Dog. He must have done like kids books or something beforehand, or even how Cartoon Network could greenlight something like this. Maybe they saw that Nickelodeon had Invader Zim, so they had to counteract with their own creepy cartoon. But I would say Courage totally outdoes Invader Zim. Again, Invader Zim has the creepiness, but the focus is on just some loud joke and whatnot. But with Courage, just the relationship between Courage, Muriel, Eustace, and then Courage again. I mean, you probably couldn't even get away with a character like Eustace anymore, which is really sad because, I mean, sure, is it okay that Eustace would smack his dog and whatnot? No, but it's a cartoon. People can't get so sensitive towards cartoon violence. I'm not saying anybody is. I shouldn't claim that there's any sort of fake crusade against Courage, so I gotta talk myself down real quick. But I just have a feeling in 2025, some people would be like, this is not okay that Eustace is hitting his dog. But it really shows who Eustace is, and then his other side of him when he would have those episodes with his mom, or that just focuses on his failure. Because that's the kind of thing about Eustace is it's sort of a reflection, kind of like I kind of view as Jack Torrance from The Shining, how his failures is one of the motivations between Jack's anger. And there's been many episodes in Courage the Cowardly Dog where Eustace, whether it's comparing himself to his brother or just thinking about his failures, like that episode where he's not a farmer, arguing with that creepy face, where he is just upset, or not upset, but just, he just knows that he is not good, and he can't help but just either blame other people or take it out on other people, and it's such a human experience. And there's a lot of kids that grow up in angry households that probably can identify with Courage, sadly. So kind of taking away those kind of characters for those kids who probably need them the most probably doesn't help. But yeah, it's kind of like the whole Helga Bataki thing. It's just, it's fun to have those darker interpretations or darker meanings behind some of these characters that you don't notice as a kid, and then as an adult you grow up and be like, wow, that's actually going on. As an adult, you kind of look at Eustace and kind of see like, wow, he is like a messed up person, and is Courage just a metaphor for some poor kid that's taking the brunt of all this? Who knows? That's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to celebrate it. And when I was thinking about that whole not a farmer aspect of Eustace, it made me realize that another huge, amazing thing about Courage is they don't explain anything, which allows your imagination to run wild. Who was this phantom of the farm, and why is it an actual white face talking and then just appearing? Those sort of things. He was like the harvest moon god or whatever. Why is this tree that just grew out of nowhere have this face and able to give all of these gifts to the family? On that Giving Tree episode with the robot afterwards, I would say that was when you mark a vast improvement from Courage the Cowardly Dog. Season 1 animation's a little bit rough. The idea is there. I'm glad that it was made so it can get us to where it was. Season 2, pretty good. But yeah, once Courage and the tree episode happened, Courage and the robot who enslaves them and the breakdancing at the end happened, the whole series just pedal to the metal, full steam forward, completely improves, and it is just so beautiful to see. But yeah, they don't explain almost anything with the origins of these villains, and that is so refreshing, because again, it is fun just to pretend or just wonder, like, where did this hamster get this vacuum to suck up these adults, and now what's going on? When you can just, it's sort of the benefit of the sci-fi horror genre, is when you have this sci-fi horror genre, all bets are off. You can do anything you want. Also, I guess kind of with fantasy, with the whole Adventure Time thing. But basically, whenever you sort of leave reality, you can have so much fun. And I might be a little out of the loop with kid shows, I definitely am, but I wonder how many shows kind of do leave reality nowadays. I would have to do a whole nother video, so I'm not even gonna speculate too much yet. I don't want to get too caught up in the imagination. I just want to keep thinking of that beautiful little purple dog and just be so thankful that that was the cartoons that I got to grow up with, because I do think that Courage made me a more empathetic, sensitive person. Something maybe about Courage's inability to actually talk versus the few tiny little lines he might say here and there. But yeah, mostly he would just communicate through noises, through facial expressions. So I don't know, maybe that does kind of help build empathy when someone can't talk. I don't know. But all I remember is that every time I watch Courage, I would get excited. And it's because, I mean, just watch the show and you'll understand what I'm talking about. And I would say, as an adult, I can still sit down and watch a Courage episodes here and there. I'm probably not going to binge the whole series and whatnot, maybe on the background. It can still just be a fun show. Artistically, it just it has so much imagination. You know, even if I'm not watching the story, I just love, again, watching the characters, the locations they come up with. I mean, some shows try to be conservative with like trying to reuse backgrounds to save money. Not Courage. They're like, what new environment can we come up with this week? Oh, let's have Eustace grow his hair out, and then we'll send him to a hair factory where we shave him bald. Ooh, that'll be fun for the kids to watch some hairless man get hung like dryer, like a clothes dryer. Oh my god, so many crazy episodes. This is Media Philosophy, exploring the deeper side of entertainment.